Okay, here we go. So, hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth in the series of lockdown conversations between myself, Giles Yeates, and different figures and teachers and practitioners within the Wudang community. So today I have Nikki Strong, who is a teacher and practitioner of a range of Chinese martial arts and also Indian systems and yoga. So we were talking just now a background in Shaolin and Hanglang, and also more recently within the Wudang traditions as well. So Nikki, welcome. Probably be a great, just before we start this interview, I was just being bowled over by the rich diversity of your background in practice. So maybe that would be a great place to start. If you could outline your journey to connecting with Wudang arts now, and what came before that, and what led you to practice Wudang martial arts.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Giles. And again, thank you for inviting me. I'm very humbled. I don't consider myself any master or great teacher in this tradition, just a very enthusiastic practitioner and teacher. So my journey in martial arts in general started a long time ago. I didn't start as a young child. I started in my early 20s. I started learning the Shaolin system. And for many years I studied Shaolin, most recently Northern Shaolin in Tanglao, as you mentioned, Northern Praying Mantis. And at one point, my teacher here in Minnesota said, Nikki, I'd like you to start taking over the Tai Chi and Qigong program. And I knew, although there was some skill in the Shaolin arts, that when it comes to the internal arts of Tai Chi, movement is different and things are just a little bit different, although there's parallels. And so I panicked and I started looking, well, where can I go to improve myself, to raise my level and understand this beautiful art form, which I had played with for some time. And that's how I came across Master Bing, or as we know as Zhong Chu Chao. So this is in Wudang Mountain. And one thing led to the next, and I found myself in a workshop in Boston. And thanks to Rosalie and Paul DiCrisando, who organized those workshops and have been for a long time out east, I was able to meet Master Bing, learn from him, and started my Tai Chi journey, learning Wudang martial arts. I took that back, that long weekend, which is really nothing when it comes to learning martial arts, and that practice, and brought it back here to Minnesota and started practicing and speaking very enthusiastically with my Kung Fu family here. Wow, we should really bring him out here. You should experience this, what this is from a true master of this art. And one thing I want to mention is when I met Master Bing, I met him very formally with a letter of introduction from my teacher. So I wasn't just going out collecting practices. It was very, very formal, very traditional introduction. And so I went out the next year to Boston, and with the mission from here is to bring him back and convince him to come back to Minnesota and teach. And so that was the beginning of a number of years of bringing Master Bing out to Minnesota to teach. And so my interactions with him were twofold: being a student, learning from him on these weekend and week-long workshops, and two, as being the person who would host him and his family when his family came, and also helping him organize these things. And eventually these classes, these workshops, evolved into annual retreats. And so, in the process of helping organize retreats and being part of them, I had some responsibility to become more involved in this process of not only practicing and learning, but then more people were here, and I started also got asked to help teach some things and help review sessions and things like this. So this was my introduction into Wudang martial arts. And most recently, last in 2020, we were supposed to have a retreat in Wudang in mountain in China. Mr. Bing had a new son, and as his family was growing, and we thought it would be nice also to bring people to his new school. And then the pandemic hit. And so this last year, I've been helping him brainstorm and organize the online classes that he's been giving.
Yeah.
At the same time, my own teaching has gone online as well.
Yeah.
And as we went into the pandemic mode, I'll just kind of jump ahead a little bit. You know, my focus has become more towards the internal martial arts, and it has been since I started learning the Wudang system. You know, it speaks, you know, I found that every time I went to spend a long weekend or practicing, you know, with my Wudang family, that I'd come back to my Shaolin practice and I would embody it completely differently. My body all of a sudden would move so much more naturally. And it really, if you could say that martial arts is a music or movement is almost a music, then you could say that, well, then I really think that the Wudang style, you know, even the Taoist philosophy in life is really a music. And on that note, you know, when you look at the Chinese word for medicine, when it comes to herbal medicine especially, the character is singing plants. And so you can think of medicine as music in a sense. You know,
Yeah.
I guess you could say that movement martial arts have. So that's a little bit of a taste of how I arrived at this as a longtime practitioner and fan of traditional martial arts.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And I love the metaphor. Maybe to take some of the different phases of that journey in turn. So, so when you had your first encounter with Bing Shifu and the Wudang style, what was it about that song that resonated with you? You know, particularly in the background and quite a diverse range of styles you previously practiced. What called out? Can you describe what it was that really made a connection for you and made you want to kind of step further in the Wudang tradition?
Yes, sure. And again, I just want to say I have the greatest reverence and respect and love for all the martial arts I have been blessed to have learned. But there's something about the internal arts, and I say Wudang internal arts, is that when you move in them, it's as though one movement leads to the other naturally, almost effortlessly, naturally. And it's kind of in a more Taoist philosophy, you know, that's you following the Tao or following the way of nature. And, you know, movements should move one to the other. And it's not just graceful or pretty. Some people might say that, but actually it's a martial art. A lot of the movements, there's a lot of force. They're very practical. And I liked that too, coming from a martial art perspective. There's a certain game, there's a certain funness. I don't know what it is about the martial aspect. It certainly would never hurt anything intentionally. But there's something about that martial energy, and it flows effortlessly in the Wudang style. And you could see it. For me, it was so clear. Like every movement, the application or the, you know, seeing it in that sense was beautiful. Yeah. So there's another part to it. It too is that the medical or the medicine in the movement is easy. So coming from a traditional Chinese medicine background, that, you know, really is easy for me to see and appreciate. And also another part about the Wudang system that goes for most internal systems that aren't too hard, but they're more softer and flowing, and that's the Wudang style, is that, again, the key word is soft and flowing, is that the energy never stops flowing. And that's a key idea for when you practice Tai Chi or Qigong, and it vibrates throughout the whole Wudang system, the martial arts. Yeah. And you know, that keeps the energy flowing. So that's, in terms of medicine, that's good medicine.
Yeah.
Moving.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And